David Nixon played 4 years at BYU, finishing with 275 tackles, including 43 tackles for loss, drafted by the Raiders in 2009. Played for 4 seasons with 3 different teams. Now he's on our team. We welcome David to True Blue. How nice is it to have football season begin and nobody's taking shots at you?
Oh, it's the best feeling there is. But at the same time, I'm getting those itches every time there's any type of football on, or when they're talking football. I wish I was out there, but I'm excited for the season. I think there's some great stuff in store.
As the defense goes to camp, as you think back on your years here at BYU, what's the mentality of a star linebacker?
You know, it's a mentality that, look, you're captain, hopefully. You're one of the leaders on the team, right. And you're preparing for the season as if you're that. You have to go out there and lead the guys. You have a lot of kind of almost responsibility on your shoulder. So it's important that you go out there and you lead your team out there. And more than anything, just go out there and play ball. I think that's the biggest thing. You've prepared all year, all summer. And you've been lifting weights, running, and now it's time to go finally put the pads on and play.
Linebackers are a unique group, but to do your job, it seems like the guys in front of you have to do theirs. As we break down BYU's defensive line, kind of some moving around here a little bit as we go into fall camp with Kafusi, Manu Maluna, and Peck. What do you see here? Yeah, well,
going into this season, we know that the biggest question mark is that nose tackle position. We've got the 2 outside with Kafusi. They've talked about moving Ethan over to the other outside defensive end. So the big question is that nose tackle. We'll see what happens there. I know Johnson showed up in the last few days, and I think the coaches are pretty excited about him. But Kafusi, coming off a great year last year, we saw him playing some basketball this year, so he's obviously very athletic.
He's just a sophomore now. What do you expect from year 2?
I think more than anything, he works on the little things. He fine-tunes all of those skills so he can go out there and really perform and get, as you can see, these sacks, rack up as many sacks as he can. But he's a great player. He's long, he's tall. And he's got the experience. He's got his dad out there coaching him.
All right, now let's get to your boys, the linebackers. You got Kavinga gone. You have Ogletree, who led the team in tackles the last 2 years, gone. So that puts pressure on guys like Wani Unga, who Kyle Van Noy freely says he's the leader of the defense.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk amongst the players that Wani is the stud guy this year. He's coming in, filling in for Kavinga and Ogletree, which are tough roles to fill in. But he's a great athlete, and when he did get in last year, he made some big plays. So I think they're expecting big things out of him. As a middle linebacker, he's the one calling the plays, signaling the plays in. He's got to be that true leader out there.
Tyler Beck as well.
Yeah, Tyler. I played with Tyler back in 2008. He was just a young kid then, but he's really grown up, really matured. I think he has a bright future ahead of him. He's got a lot of experience underneath his belt too.
Coming from the NFL perspective, as you look at Kyle Van Noy and what he can become with a solid senior season, what does he need to do?
It's tough to follow up that season-ending performance he had last year in the bowl game. But I think more anything with Kyle, he's got to stay healthy, and if he can, he's going to be dominant. Granted, this year they're going to be kind of eyeing him. The offenses are going to be game planning, scheming for him. But if he can get open, the coaching staff's going to get him open to make big plays. And, he's got that big play capability in him, and it's going to be exciting to see what he can do.
His hamstring issue here at camp, is that going to be a big deal?
Hamstrings are one of those things that kind of can linger for a while. And so I think coaching staff's doing the right thing. They're taking him out for 2 weeks, letting him kind of rehab that, and then, go full speed ahead when he gets back. But, there's no rush for Kyle. He's very experienced. He knows what's going on. He knows the defense. So it's actually a good time for him to take a step back and help coach the other players.
Let's move behind these guys now and talk about the secondary. Daniel Sorensen back to lead that group. 3 returning starters from a year ago. What do you see here?
Man, I think the secondary is a strong point of this defense. You got Craig Bills, who's just a stud of an athlete, hard hitter. The receivers are going to be looking out for him. Daniel Sorensen, obviously very experienced also, great player. And then you've got our corners. We have our boundary corner is a little bit in question, but I think the guys are going to step up. The talk has been that Levitt is kind of emerging, plays the deep ball really well. And the guys are excited about him coming in.
Preston Hadley, is he going to be tough to replace?
Yeah, always when you have that senior leadership that leaves, it's always tough to replace those guys. And he was a great ball player, physical, and knew the defense very well. So yeah, of course that's going to be tough. But Coach Mendenhall always gets his guys ready to play and gets guys to step up.
As we're in week 2 now of fall practice, what happens momentum-wise for the guys? It must feel like forever for Virginia, but really it's 26 days.
Yeah, it's not that far away. I mean, you got your first day underneath your belt, which is nice. Those guys have, they've already got the excitement out of them. Now it's kind of the grind, and it's more than anything, it's about pacing yourself, because camp is long. Even though 26 days feels short, it is a long time, especially when you're out there practicing, for a few hours a day. So the biggest thing is to sit there and pace yourself. Continue to learn the defense, but more than anything, you got to contain your emotions, because you want to be able to be hitting your stride right when that that date rolls around.
I've said for a long time we need more Daves on this show, so it's good to have you here.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back. This feels like home.
Good for you. Good to have you here. David Nixon in with us tonight.